Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Wtphu. Wtphu Gaming. It's not. That's not. I should really start over this, shouldn't I? Nah. Let's run with it. Hello, everybody. It's your boy Tyler. Welcome to Wtphu, where the points don't matter and recording at 5 o'clock still means you're tired out of the way. I just finished checking on Steam. Turns out I can change controller settings to map the controls of a PlayStation controller. I am very happy, which means I can play Monster Hunter Rise as soon as I can. I'm very excited to play it. I will probably play it, you know what, later today at the time of recording. I'm very excited. But I do need to play the demo for Valkyrie Elysium, which is the sequel to Valkyrie Profiles 2. I'm excited for it. I cannot wait, but I do need sleep beforehand because I feel tired at 5:30, 5 o'clock, and I slept for a couple hours before this, but I'm still tired. It's gonna be a great night. It's gonna be a great day because it's 6 in the morning. But I digress. I'm sorry for that. Let's go. Let's go ahead because we have, I believe, 80%, 90%. I have like a couple more sets of questions before we can end the series and talk about what it means. There is a journey that we're on, and these questions lead to the end of one journey, but never the quest. The quest for knowledge and conversations where the points don't matter, except for the shoes that you wear. Sorry, a little bit of a loop, but I will probably lie down after this episode. In your social circle, you are often the one who contacts your friends and initiates activity. I slightly disagree to that fact because as I talked about recently, I was in the environment to where I went to school to go home, so I can go back to studying, and then the PlayStation, my Game Boy Advance were used as tools for having a break from when I would be studying, and I wish I was that one guy that would make plans and contact and initiate. I wish I had the bone to initiate activities, because nowadays if I just initiate conversations, I'm just kind of left on red. Not because they hate me, I don't think so, but because we're all busy people. But in my social circle, I'm often support to the person that makes plans, or I'm just one that is casually invited to. There's mostly no repercussions from me just being invited out, and I do my best to seed the suggestion about, hey, we should hang out, but that doesn't always mean that I'm the one initiating. I do want the initiation in the end, and I do initiate plans when I can. That's kind of like where there was a time I was hanging out with my friend Ben, and I don't initiate activities. I initiate dumb things, and I happen to have people follow me. So my friend Ben and I, we were in a situation where we were hanging out, and then on the way back from a restaurant, we spotted a boba place or ice cream parlor. We wanted to cross the street. I We just missed the red light, and we just missed the walk sign, and I said, "Oh, we can make it, right?" So I quickly got into position to run just in case, and I ran, and I was more than prepared to wait on the other side watching them come with me. But as I turn around, I see them running along with me, him and his friend, and I think it was Ben or his friend that fell as we were running on wet cement. We were running on a wet road as a car might have been coming by. We were lucky enough that the truck slowed down because he saw three people just running like they shouldn't have had to, and so I had to ask, why did you follow me? It's like, I don't know, we were going to the same place, might as well just come with you. And He's good. He's a good guy. But I feel bad for inviting the challenge of just running with me. That's what I do. I initiate challenge. I don't initiate activities and get-togethers. I initiate challenge. Oh, you're gonna. Why aren't you gonna throw the ball, man? Give me, man. I'm uncovering my arm, and I, I have a hard time initiating get-togethers because that wasn't the thing for me. I was always the odd one out because my situation called for me to go straight home and to be out of sight, out of mind because I was supposed to study. I was supposed to finish the current project that I had. And when I have kids, when I'm a doting father, on top of being very scary if I have a daughter, I want my kids to be involved with as many s- team sports as possible just to build the muscle of knowing how to contact and like communicate with people because what I think group sports does for you is the ability to know a smorgasbord, a plethora of personalities and people to get you to know a large vast quantity of people, not just public schools. Public schools can only do so much within a controlled setting, but sports is a great way to bring people together. And for as crack shot as it was, tennis brought Andre and I together, even though I initiated and he reasonably said, okay, I convinced them to play with me and we did tennis in the snow. I supported him when he went through his powerlifting phase. I'm excited for my own journey, and so yeah, that's definitely a thing. Oh, sorry, I've been talking too long. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. If your plans are interrupted, I would say I would slightly agree. I would love to get back on track on as much as possible, kind of like in the way where we would just goof off. We have a project to do, and we end up goofing off. I want to get back to studying. I want to get back to the vacation. I want to get back to this assignment that we are contractually assigned to. And if we don't do it, we won't get a passing grade. So we have to get back to the topic as soon as possible. But when it comes to vacations and we don't do everything according to plan, I tend to go with the flow and see how it goes. Case in point, we went to Texas last July for my cousin's wedding, and the majority of the time we didn't have much of a plan other than making sure we woke up early enough to get breakfast and we went early enough to Alpha Land and exercised. After that, the majority was to make sure we had food two more times before going back to the hotel. And that also meant that it was also flexible to where we went. So we had Korean dogs one time, and then when family all finally gathered, we just ended up going to a buffet. It was a good buffet. I prioritized protein and vegetables. But I made sure we went to the gym right after because with all that caloric intake, we need to do something about that physical activity, right? So we did that. A lot of the times, as long as we cross off parts of the to-do list, making sure we have whole foods, make sure we prioritize protein, make sure we are active with free weights or resistance bands, then we're good. I'm very happy with the results as long as we can do that. So I only slightly agreed to that because that used to been my priority during high school and college. Now, not so much. You are still bothered by mistakes that you've made a long time ago. Yes, I am very scarred by my mistakes, much like every normal, convincing adult. We are scarred by the trials and tribulations that we've done. I'm still scarred by my garlic incident. I'm scarred by my Germany experience. I have a Germany incident that I'm very scarred by, and I have emotional damage from trying to live up to the impossible expectations of my mother and my family, because emotional damage runs and generational trauma runs deep in Asian families. We actually had a conversation of this at work, to where a friend of mine was Asian American as well, but we both understood the trauma that came from just living up to expectations, to where 100% is no, is expected and everything else is just failure. So always being measured by that wasn't a good thing too. But also it was funny to where it came from a conversation of Crazy Rich Asians, and how a guy, my coworker, mentioned how he gets really peeved and upset, to where why do you feel the need to throw away your parents' money in this certain way after all the hard work they've done? But the reality is, the TLDR is that to some extent you owe your parents everything and nothing. Even if your parents have made a fortune that is meant to be used to provide fruitful endeavors for the family, even if the parents provided for the larger family and made sure that money was not a problem for this family, that doesn't mean the kids are owed to you. That doesn't mean the kids owe the parents anything at all, because essentially, even if my mom worked very hard to get us where we were, I am not personally entitled to where the least I can do is to obey whatever you say, because that was the environment for most Asian Americans. Asian Americans post Vietnam War had developed the problem of hoarding, in my experience, and also the assumption that because my parents worked very hard to get this big home and this money for food and water at home, the least my brother and I could have done was followed everything they demanded to the very T. And ultimately, that also meant it deprived us of our parents, because for as much as my mom and my dad instilled great work ethic, it was a detriment to my mom, because she was always working. She would work to go home, and then she would be too tired to interact with the family. And so my mom would just stay upstairs most of the time with the laptop that she had the privilege of giving or taking away, and then watching dramas on a laptop that was supposed to be mine, only to mention that if you if you don't meet my standards, I will take that away. And she used that to watch all of her dramas. She worked to go home and then watched dramas pretty often. And then when she did go out, it was either Costco or to find perfume and jewelry, because I deserve this. I worked very hard. My son is not at the weight that he wants. That I want. My son is not at the grades that I want. And sometimes I like perfume. I like the jewelry that I wish I had when I was a kid. And the reality is, sometimes we owe our parents everything for where we are, but also we owe them nothing. I, for my personal experience, my mom, my mom always had that mentality of just, hey, do that. I'm asking you something very simple, and that is to focus on your studies, and that's not simple. Me going to school in the 90s and 2000s isn't the same as you going to school in the 80s or 70s. And so standards have changed. You need to accept that as long as I'm passing, I'm fine, because school will always be changing, and so are the standards. And it sucks to where, for a lot of the time, I was very happy with where we went. So we went to Disney World in Florida, but then I told a story about the luggage and the Sunbeam boiler with ramen. Sometimes we went to Germany, but then only the one time, because of my mom having a disagreement with my dad's friends. And it's just a situation where generational trauma is something that bothers us for a very long time. And I just wish my mom would change what bothered her as she grew up. Otherwise, I would have loved to see my grandparents more often after middle school. I would have loved to see more of Germany because my dad has a friend in Germany, and that was my dad's family for the time because of what he went through during the war. But again, we are haunted by our ghosts, and sometimes we can't. We can do we can do everything and nothing about the ghosts. Just find your friends, find your core people, and get that figured out. But don't let it toxically affect your family. You rarely contemplate the reason for human existence or the meaning of life. I do. I contemplate the reasons for existence and meaning of life. That's funny. If you have the audacity to walk down if you have the audacity to walk down around the break rooms and office space at work, how dare you walk down the hallway and expect people to move out of your way when you need to keep your eyes up to begin with? Because when I see this problem, well, I say that I question human existence because there are people that are older than me that if they didn't have a phone, they would definitely look up where they're going. I'm so used to putting my phone in my pocket and just focus on, okay, I need to go from the break room to my locker, and that's what I'm working on. And I can multitask to where if I'm on my phone, it is less than a couple of seconds to text and put my phone back in. But I see people walking streets. I see people driving cars that are checking their phones. I see someone at work that comes back from their break and they're still on their phone, and it's irritating to where I question their existence and the meaning of why they're here, why they're at a work environment to where you should be coming in and leaving the lab with a mask. But you come to the lab without a mask and you take the entire time from the freight elevator to the stairs, up 2 flights of stairs, and then get to the desk where there is masks. You took that extended period of time to have your mask off. And then when you clock out, that means your mask comes off too. I've seen people clock out, take their mask off, and still be on the floor where there's specimens relatively at a distance, and med plates, which are plates that capture bacteria and or viruses. And they're walking around with their face without a mask. And I know we are slowly warming out of COVID, but it's not good if you are a medical profession and you make even me question your human existence, much like my own. So I do contemplate, but it's very contextual when it comes to work or when it comes to how people change lanes. Sometimes they don't have the signal on, sometimes they forget, and I personally question why, because I forget to turn on my lights sometimes. But I know everyone can see this bright blue car or the small bright red car. And I know that they can see it. That's fine. I do question it. I question myself and everyone around me. But I digress. But please prove me wrong, because I want to have a good reason to look back on human existence and the quality of life. Your emotions control you more than you control them. That is emotions, man. I mean, I disagree slightly only because I've been raised into a situation where for as much emotional damage my parents gave me, I was always taught to be in control of my emotions in a very toxic way. We learn to control our emotions because we know if we let our emotions lead us, it could cause us problems at work, and it can cause problems with us and our family. My mom had a really bad time controlling her emotions, and so I am constantly afraid about if I let my emotions control me. I do things that I'm not proud of. I say things I'm not great at. or I become very reactive based on my emotions, and that's not always good. I learned the hard way that trying to keep calm during your situation or family environment is very crucial. But also, we want to make sure that when you enter these experiences with your family, you have an open mind, assuming and understanding that they're coming from a different place than you are. Listen to them, and they will explain their situation, and they will help you process their emotion. Don't just assume and don't just push it aside because it's not the same thing you're feeling. So if your emotions don't match theirs, don't disregard what they're saying. Get into a state and get into a place where you understand them for the conversation. So sometimes a lot of the emotion control comes from just taking a deep breath and approaching it, whether or not it makes you look angrier than you actually are. So take your time with your words, take your time controlling your emotions, because that allows you to do so much more, I feel like. You take great care not to make people look bad, even when it's completely their fault. Yes, I slightly agree, only because I'm in a situation where, again, in the same way that we control our emotions, we want to make sure we're agreeable at work. We want to be agreeable when we go out and meet people for the first time, because they don't know you, but you want to leave a good impression to where, hey, I'm considerate, and you may be properly considerate. You may be properly. You may actually feel an emotion for them, and you may actually feel obligated to give them the benefit of the doubt. And sometimes, even if they're wrong, depending on the right person under the situation, to where maybe they're wrong, but they're really innocent about it, you can't help but forgive them. But if they're a Karen or a Chad and they're making you look bad, please retaliate. Retaliate. Make sure that they mess with the wrong person. There was a person on a recent podcast, Genius Brain, where his friend is a practiced martial artist, and when he was about to get jumped, he, the bully, had the bad luck lottery to where the person that he was gonna beat up was in martial arts, and he has friends in the house to where they know martial arts. So you're having a team of Power Rangers versus you and your friends, and you're the thugs that don't get out of it alive. So definitely, you need to make it a situation where both people are treating each other well, even when it's completely their fault, because they may not know that, and they may wholeheartedly believe that. So there's a level of innocence that comes from just taking a step back. You can argue and you can yell about it later, but for the moment, make the experience as optimal as you can, because that may very well be the last time they see you. Not because you'll pass away or they'll be unalive, but because what are the likelihoods of you coming across people that you don't like anymore on a regular basis, unless you found them at work, you know? But that is the end of the episode and the end of the I don't know. I don't know what it's the end of, but it's definitely the end of the video. I do need to get some rest, and when we continue, we will finish up these questions regarding my personality. Thank you guys for following along on this episodic journey of my personality, and I'm excited to see what other quizzes and questions I can get to, because this is a conversation. This is a conversation where the points don't matter, and we learn a little bit more about each other. I get to learn about you in the comments below. You get to learn about me in this video. So go ahead and follow my socials. Wtphu, that's WTPHU on social media. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, my name's Tyler. I'm your friend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.